Greetings, Minecrafters, and welcome to another discussion. You can tell I got the same hat and same fleece on. That's because I've done 3 videos today because we talked about this yesterday, I think, as far as no screen Sunday and all that. And I said, well, actually, I do take breaks. I definitely take breaks because thankfully YouTube lets you schedule things. So if I'm inspired, I'm having an inspired hour like I am right now, I can schedule them, later and then have the whole rest of the day to do other things. So that's kind of pretty neat. So anyway, my name is Kimberly Quinn. I'm here to chat with you today about to sort of stop identifying with your story, because when we hang on to that, it just doesn't go anywhere good. You might say, oh, but you just did it. You did not just, it was a few years ago. You did a TED Talk on your backstory. Yeah, I did. You're right. And that's important also. It's important to share a story. Didn't say that. Especially, the whole purpose of sharing a story, at least for me, was to help other people, possibly my whole mission is to spread positivity and to help people in any way that I can to see their own value, because I know what it's like to feel devalued. So that's the whole purpose. So to share a story it's all about the intention, right? Oprah, my dear friend, Oprah, she just isn't aware of our lovely friendship. She says it's all about the intention, and she is so right, spot on. Because my intention with doing those talks and these talks is to help people, again, see their value, to help people, mosquito on my hand, sorry, to help people become lighter, I guess, in a sense, as that's a way to say it. So that's one thing to kind of share for that reason, but to just identify with it and hang on to it for the sake of like a badge of honor, or, it's part of who we are, it's part of our self-esteem, because I survived this and I survived that, and that just, it kind of also gives it more energy. It doesn't mean not to be proud of yourself that you made it through a tough time, of course, but to keep identifying and keeping it all alive is really not what we want to do. So for me, how I often explain that to people is that it's like a skeleton without the bone, or sorry, without the bones. Geez, it's like a skeleton without the meat, kind of. And I've listened to Oprah the gazillions of times, and she kind of shares her story, or I'll say it the other way around. I share my story, I think, in a similar way that she shares hers. It's just kind of like it's not the details, because you don't need those anymore. It's just when people sometimes ask me things after I give talks, presentations here and there, or on podcasts or whatever, and I really stick to, which is usually kind of what they're asking. It's just phrased differently. Like, how did you become resilient from that? Or how did you, work yourself out of, to be in a more positive place? And that's kind of what I stick to. Not all the details. That just isn't even important anymore. It just isn't. And the thing is, I think sometimes people keep themselves stuck thinking, sort of not realizing that that's what they're doing when they're rolling that narrative through their heads over and over again. So it's really important to, it doesn't mean don't process, don't feel. Obviously, to feel is to heal. We have to feel, we have to process. You may need to do that with a professional, and that's good stuff, right? And with good friends, partners, whomever. And then hopefully land at a place where it's a skeleton without the meat on it, So it's because we can't, the mind doesn't work like a computer with a delete button. We don't, and anybody who's been through trauma knows that for sure, that if anything is the truth, it's that the thoughts keep trying to come back. So when you may need to process that with somebody else, and then eventually hopefully you land at a place where your story is just that it's a skeleton without the meat on it. So the memories are there, yes, but you can choose to not land there. And with the meat off the bones, there's no more power. There's no more power to your story. It's just there because it's there, but it's a bunch of bones, and that's it. And it doesn't have any power over you anymore. So it's really important to shift out of that once you've processed. And obviously these videos are not meant to be in the place of any kind of treatment. I'm a big fan of therapy and things like that. And whatever you need to do that's healthy to pull yourself up and out. All of it. The yoga, exercise, eating well, social group, everything. I'm a fan of all of it. To really focus on letting go of that narrative, because giving it energy just keeps it all alive. Even if you think you're doing something good by, I don't know, keeping it just isn't. It's not healthy. It's not good for you. And realizing that letting go of that narrative gives us so much power because we're enough as we are without the accolades of whatever it is you survived. You're enough without identifying with that story all by yourself. And that's kind of the place we want to get to, because the whole feeling of worthiness is a very human thing. And just like anything else, it takes effort. And you think, oh, it doesn't, it shouldn't, should have, well, you should's not a great word to have in the vocabulary to begin with. And the thing is, the worthiness is already in there. It's in there. It's the uncovering it that takes the effort. That, you know, we are spiritual beings having human experience. That perfect spirit, which is not a word I use really ever, except for this example with the spirit, because the spirit is perfect, obviously, in the human experience. And that we do have to, the effort comes into uncovering what was covered up from various life circumstances and messages that we got as kids. And so that's where the effort is, because I've often said before too, you know, if it takes effort to be yourself, you're not being yourself, and that is true. It's the uncovering of that original feeling of worthiness that takes the effort. So all of that comes back to process the story and then let it go. I feel like Elsa in Frozen sings "Let It Go." I feel like I want to sing that dance and sing and dance that right in the middle of this trail, right here, with little G. But I can't hit a note with a 2x4, and it could scare the wildlife. All right, so that's it. Stop identifying with your story. Let the narrative go. Skeleton without the meat. That's where you want to be. This is Kimberly Quinn signing off from the beautiful Notch with little G in northern Vermont. Have a mindful, mindful day.